Hey there and welcome back to our Elden Ring narrative lore playthrough. We are going to finish some exploring in this Mountaintops of the Giants. Possibly we will continue down the road, but we'll kind of see how everything takes us. There's a couple things we want to do. We have not been to Smina Erdtree yet. We also found that there was a painting here in Castle Sol depicting the moon and whatnot. We'll take a look at it again here in a second, and I believe it is somewhere down in these lower trenches just based on the angle. There's also a building there. So for right now, those are our three main tasks, and then we will go from there and see how it turns out. Let's take a look at that painting. Alright, so this one's called Sorcerer. Seeing those things. Alright, so down lower, because we can see it's angled up at some of those columns and one of the bridges, and there is a wizard's tower or sorcerer's tower underneath the moon. So just based on the map, that is that section right there. There's a bridge right there, which means it's somewhere along in here, I would say. So let's go ahead and start down here and look for it. The golems are still pretty fascinating to me as far as who do they actually serve, or did they serve? Because portions of it, given how they act in the Altus Plateau, they definitely seem to work for the Golden Order, right? They're defending the approach into the capital of Lanedale. However, the whole architecture and everything is very much like some of the ancient tower stuff we see here. We've seen some of the ancient ruins outside of the shaded overlook spot where we fight Magma Worm Makar, I believe his name was. And so you see these really old ruins like that. And here, I think it's down that direction, there's a big old pile of these golems. There's also some as well in Caelid. I mean, there's some that have that blue magic. There's a one in particular. But the whole reason I'm bringing it up, one, old ruins. But it's not quite like the dynastic ruins. Are very different from them, I would say. Plus, all the dynastic ruins, well, almost all of them, are way underground. These are pretty much all set up high, with the exception of that one, that where Magma Worm Makar is. So it does give the feeling to me that it's different, right? But with the big pile of bodies, it does make me think that they were there was a battle here, right? Because that's what's over on this far side. There's just a big old mound of them. You actually see them all about the lanes between two. So in those sections, it makes me think that, they were serving the Golden Order, and then they, in the battles across the lanes between for the Erdtree and everything, and Marika, they were just eventually worn down and broken and stuff. But I always kind of wondered if they weren't for the giants, because of the flame that they utilize. And flame is not something that's, typically used by the Golden Order, because it's anathema or dangerous for the Erdtree. And so I always thought, it makes sense if it would be something from the giants, because they have the giant's flame, the fell flame of the fell god, blah, blah, blah. So I've always wondered if it didn't have ties to them. But, I mean, are these ruins giant ruins then? Is this, because we do find them here, and so maybe it would make sense that they're, it would tie in with the giants. And there's the other main location I can think of where you see it, right? So down south here, you see a bunch kind of in the edges of the landscape. There's one down in the dungeon, but in Caelid, you find a bunch of giant skeletons and stuff, and this is also a location where you see them right along here. So I find it kind of interesting. It feels like they have ties to giants, but at the same time, it does feel a little off. Now, I thought I had here, right, with this goes in with the DLC, but the DLC, they have a section, I forget the name of it, where you go into more ruins like this, and it's one of the later final sections of the game. But you don't fight any. Well, there are a couple out in the land. So that's right. There are some of them, but there's also there's a bunch of stuff that has to do with spirits, and so I wonder, with the flame in them, is it some kind of fire spirit, some kind of fire sprite that is living in these golems, giving them life? And then with the very unique one in Caelid that has the big sorcery moonbeam looking stuff, does it have some additional type of sprite that lives within it? You know, I just wonder things like that. All right, so I spent a while looking around in these chasms. This is kind of the right direction, but the angle is not quite right. We're actually too low. So I guess it's got to be higher. So we have to go up and look somewhere else. See, this looks good. Oh, there he is. Yep. All right. So they've got a different color too. I guess because it's a memory, it's got a golden tinge to it. The Great Hood. I believe we've seen one enemy use that, actually. I think it was the guy who was serving under Moog. He was down in the catacombs under the capital city. Hood far larger than the head it is meant to cover. A burial shroud of sorts for those who discover, at long last, the truth they sought. Increasing intelligence and faith to the detriment of HP. Yes, surely this is the moon that young Renala gazed upon. Okay, so he's looking up over here, and there it is. That's the moon I guess Renala might have gazed on. And then she went on to sort of follow it from, which makes sense actually. Right here is the Stargazer runes. So she would have, been born here in the mountaintops because that's where the astrologers came from, and then ended up following it south, south, south until eventually she ended up into Liurnia, where she settled here and established the Carrion family. Now I'd have to go back and check, but it sounds like to me that the academy already existed before she got there, because it's not, I don't remember reading anything that said she established the academy. It was that she enchanted them with her moon, and then when she basically lost herself after Radigan left, that's when the sorcerers at the academy realized that she was no champion at all, no hero. And it does, it explains a little bit more as far as the distinction between their sorceries. I mean, one, there's going to be distinctions between different schools of sorceries and magic anyways, but given how all the academics and stuff there, they seek the wisdom of stone, they wear the crown of stone, those different heads that show their conspectus. She does not do that. She has an allegiance to the moon. She shows that that the moon is equal to their own wisdom and whatnot. And so you can definitely see the difference between the two there, and it just makes sense given that she comes from the astrologers. And here's what should be a minor Erdtree. It is completely snapped off though. So I mean, if we look on on these pictures, they do show branches. Is this one the same actually? Let's see. Yeah, that looks the same. The Erdtree over here is withered and dead. Okay. Or minor Erdtree, I guess. Yeah. Interesting. So what will we find? Alright. So there's the Erdtree avatar. Comes down from on high in his golden glow. Ooh, I thought my recovery would be enough to kind of get that counter. My times are just way off. Alright. Here we go. Go ahead, do another one. I think this is gonna knock me. I'm trying to do the guard counters, but honestly, these guys are pretty easy if you just keep it simple. You know what I mean? And he is split and made two. Why can he do that? Your guess is as good as mine. I don't know. But it looks like no matter which one we hit, it seems to do damage, right? Ouch. Oh, I was hoping to guard that one too. I'm hoping to also stagger him momentarily, right? Guard. Oh, God. The recovery. Uh-oh. There we go. Yeah, I had to block that, otherwise I would have taken a bunch of damage. But this should do it. Why they're splitting too? Well, I mean, there's, again, duality is a big theme in this between Marika, Radigan, the moons, silver, gold, cerulean, and crimson, right? Particularly with blue and red, right? Cerulean, crimson. Do they have anything interesting to say? Probably not. So interesting. So I wonder, with this thing sprouted, it's broken. I kind of wonder about the timeline a little bit. How long is it really been? I mean, it's been here for a very long time. So what busted it? And part of me thinks that it could have been giants. I mean, they waged battle and war against the giants to overthrow their rule. So it would make some sense that, hey, that's kind of what happened there. In the battle, they ended up destroying it. And that's just going to happen, you know? It's got to open this one with my weapon. There we go. Come on. Oh no, little daggers. So that would make sense too. But were there a bunch of minor Erdtrees when they were fighting the giants? Or did it not actually sprout until after the age of the Erdtree really started? You know what I mean? And if that's the case, how did it break apart then? Was it just time? Some just unfortunate natural disaster? Remnants? You know, who's to say? Just a shattering in general? You know, I don't know. Interesting. So, yeah, a bunch of demi-humans, and there's actually some people here. And see, we see a bunch of... It's Goldmask, the ever-brilliant Goldmask, Corin, a bunch of chairs for people, I guess, observing. You know, nobles, maybe, sages. These look like... I mean, the headband is like commoner wear. So maybe they were just observing the Erdtree from this distance. But Goldmask, what does he have to say? He's doing the Golden Order totality, which is all the aspects which he discovered after we revealed the truth of Marika and Radigan. Is it including both aspects of regression, causality, and causation, whatnot?
Nice to see you. I can't believe you've come all this way.
I can't believe you have. Study incantations. He's got anything new? Yeah, Immutable Shield. So one of the incantations of Golden Order Fundamentalists. It's actually a Breath Shield on there. Enchant the shield held in the left hand with the Light of Regression, increasing all forms of non-physical damage negation and ailment resistance. Two concepts form the basis for Golden Order fundamentalism. One is the law of regression, to which this incantation relates, right? So regression and, I forget the other term. There's one that says it in one of these spells. But what about Noble Goldmask?
I've been gripped by a terrifying thought. The rhythms and calculus of the Master's finger betray a suspicion of the holism of the Golden Order. A conceit, I am afraid, that cannot be overlooked. Oh, but how could this be? I dread to even entertain the possibility, but somehow I cannot cast aside my doubts about the Master. Tell me, have I simply lost my head? Only, if the Master were true to the Golden Order, why would he think to breach this forbidden mount of fire?
I mean, alright, so the first thing kind of crosses my head. All I could think of was Palpatine in episode 3 and talking about the Force. And if one is to understand the Great Mystery, they have to study all of its aspects, right? And that's what Corwin's, or not Corwin, that's what Goldmask is doing. He's studying all the aspects. Because he's not... See, it seems as though a lot of the Golden Order has its truths and tenets and stuff tied in with the people and the Erdtree and this and that, where he seems to be having this idea that the Golden Order is more than that. It's an ideal that kind of transcends beyond simply the god that we're following, the Elden Lord, the tree, all that. It's a truth, a fundamental truth. And there's even some spells that talk about, it basically implies some of the, I don't want to say corruption, but the fault in the Golden Order, how people have turned away from what they should. I want to see if I can't find them. Alright, so we've got this first one, Litany of Proper Death. Creates an image of order, and we can see it has that Golden Order totality, which should include, I assume, causation and regression, right? Because you've got regression and causality, sorry. So, does holy damage, and is especially damaging to those who live in death. Any felled by this incantation cannot be revived. The role of hunters is to stamp out defiled reason, all for the perfection of the Golden Order. Now, as a Golden Order, I mean, you can see in the background of it how it has to deal with the Elden Ring and the great runes that make up the Elden Ring. That's why we're gathering up the shards of it. So, with those who live in death are supposed to exist outside of that order, which is why they are against it. But then when you go and you read Order Healing, which alleviates death blight buildup, it's used by the hunters of those who live in death. Noble Goldmask lamented what had become of the hunters, how easy it is for learning and learnedness to be reduced to the raving of fanatics. All the good and the great wanted in their foolishness was an absolute evil to contend with. Does such a notion exist in the fundamentals of order? So in their group, they just said, oh, you know what? We need an enemy. So they found it in those who live in death. And so whether or not they actually were against, truly against the perfection of the Golden Order, it's kind of hard to say, because it's very possible that they weren't, but they just chose and used them as a scapegoat. And so with this, Goldmask then asks, can it even exist? If we're going for this true underlying truth, this fundamental of perfection of order, can there be an absolute evil, or is it all just under the fold in a different aspect of it? That's the way I'm kind of interpreting it, right? And, part of it might have all started when, fragments of the death were taken away, right? Because a fragment of the Rune of Death was taken from Malekith, the Black Blade. And so, and then that's when those who live in death got basically out into the world, is because that Rune of Death then, infected Godwyn and then the burial, etc. And so, it's interesting. And now he's doubting it. He doubts it because even though he incredibly admires him, and man, what gorgeous sun should set and everything, because the sun should be over there, right? He admires Goldmask, but unfortunately, he does seem to hold more with his idea of what the Golden Order should be, and not necessarily what Goldmask should be.
Do you need something else? Oh, Master, put my mind at ease. Dispel these fearsome thoughts. I want to place my trust in you, to be your scribe.
Now, see, we could give him the tonic of forgetfulness. I don't actually know off the top of my head what that'll do. But see, I don't really like that choice. It feels very meddlesome to me. And I feel as though things should play out the way they're going to play out. So, I'm not going to. I kind of want to see how this goes without it and see how it works out. But that would be an interesting sidestep to do there. So we've done these. Now we've got to get this wizard tower. And it looks like there is actually a broken bridge that should connect them. All right, on the approach of this bridge, we've got a bunch of those who live in death. There's those skeleton, snake, snail things. It is kind of fascinating to me that they are skeletal. They can somehow exist beyond the purviews of death, I suppose. It kind of almost felt as though the dead things, those who live in death, should almost be, I would say, sentient or possess a sort of, what you call it, self-recognition or awareness. But hey, maybe, it doesn't discriminate, you know what I mean? As far as this blight is concerned. That dude is shooting from miles away. And I wonder too, right? This is obviously some huge gravesite thing. So I'm actually wondering too, if all these soldiers weren't soldiers of the Erdtree, members of the Golden Order, when they went to war against the giants. And then after everything was said and done and these people were buried, then, eventually when Death Blight got let out, that's when they got risen up. So with their symbols, a lot of times, the shield has a sun crest, some kind of symbol of a long worn and gone age, whatever Depicting a city crowned by the sun. It has seen better days. Much like the wear upon the shield, the seat of the sun is long faded away. And I mean, this has been one of the first places. I mean, with this being the mountaintop of the giants and the sun being up high and stuff, it would kind of make sense to me that the sun would almost rest here. I could totally see this as a place for that. But yeah, tower. It's way over there. Is there a way for us to get up there? I don't know right now. If we look. Oh yeah, so we do see some of those guys. Okay. So maybe there is some other way we have to work in order to reach that location. So it looks like for now, we will actually, because that is part of that frozen river, it dead ends up here. So we will have to drop down around there where there is a site of grace. And looking at the site of grace, we can actually see how it's been guiding us up. It hit this one, and then it tells us to go over to Castle Saul. And from there, it kind of stops. But that's because that's where we had a medallion. But there should be, I imagine, another... Once we hit this one, it's probably going to give us a new direction to go. That the Erdtree, that Grace or Marika is telling us to go another way. So this is called the Freezing Lake, and sure enough, it is. It's pointing us more southeast, which when we kind of look that direction, we know down that way we'd seen the giant bowl basin looking thing, and we have ourselves a nice one of these bad boys. I haven't seen one of them in a while. Bird's eye view. So there's the Wizard's Tower, Sorcerer's Tower. That's a bowl. Yep, see, there it is right there. Big old chain connecting it. Massive frozen lake that we will have to traverse. Anything else of interest? A castle, or not, maybe not a castle, but a fort. Lots of interesting things stuck in the ground there. Okay. Lots of jellyfish here. Oh, and there's a invisible beetle. Now, it's kind of curious, too, with the jellyfish. And I can't remember if I had brought up this, maybe, implication as well. So we can summon. But the fact that the jellyfish we can summon wanted to be reunited with her sister, who was also a jellyfish, and there's a gravestone that basically says, you know, they were people. Why would jellyfish be buried? You know what I mean? So they were children before. Probably astrologers, because that's where they were at. They were at the astrologer ruins. That's where their gravestones were. That's where we find her spirit, who wanted to go and see the stars. And why would they want to see the stars? Because they're astrologers. But so it's interesting when you see all of these jellyfish, and they're spirit jellyfish. Are they all just people? Are these the spirits of people who have somehow moved on? Is that what these animals are too? We've somehow new life from death, as maybe the ancestral followers might believe. Lots of fog rolling in suddenly. Feels very dramatic. Can't see. It's a dragon. Borealis, the freezing fog. Hi there, hon. See, that thing looks very gnarly, doesn't it? See how it's got almost meaty chunks on his face looking like? Okay, that's bad. I don't like this. Alright. It is covered in icy, almost as though like frost, a rime. But it does still have the standard, feathers that we've noticed with these drakes before. So all that's pretty par for the course. Let's move back a little bit. Of course, it's up on the edge, so it's going to be a little obnoxious. Move quick, move quick, move quick. Bad thing with using using this rapier is... Oh, she aggroed the jellyfish. Are they going to help us? Yeah, bad thing with using the rapier, the stagger value on it is not particularly good. So we might not get a stagger very quickly. But we do have that rot going for us. We do have the bleed. It is a pretty nasty weapon to use. I think we could actually avoid that shout a little bit better if we went behind the... Yeah, we went behind her. Now there is also... Owie. There is also that frost axe we got that was supposed to be... Can you stop? That would be really cool. There's a frost axe that is supposed to be made from the scale of a dragon, and it's from Castle Sol, which is up here. So then the question is, did it come from this dragon? It's what would make sense, right? Yeah, I got tired of her doing that, which is why I pulled out the poison, because now I'm just kind of irritated at the fight. Way too early on that dodge. I knew it as soon as I dodged it. Oh, did the dodge. Poker. Back away. Okay, guess I didn't back away enough. Breast attack. No, didn't breast attack. Oh, okay. Alright, I got you. Anything else? God. It's still too early. Boo on me. Oh my god, I can't hit her. Just poke the wing. I don't know why. I don't have to hit the face, you know what I mean? Well, that was my last heal. Oh, she's doing the flurry of attacks. Poke the. Thank you. Alright. Great enemy felled. What is she going to give us? Lots of runes. Dragon Heart. Okay. And a new draconic power is available. Try and remember to go check that out so that we can learn what we can about this dragon. Also, the Ash of War Seppuku gets the blood affinity, and it's a forbidden technique used by swordsmen from the lands of reeds. Plunge the blade into your stomach and stain it with blood. Increase attack power and improves ability to inflict blood loss. So, from the land of reeds, our samurai folks. Forbidden technique, though. I guess because of what it does, maybe some of the implications. Who knows exactly why they said you can't do this. Gross. There's lobsters. And with a little bit of walking around, we actually find that there is a sealed cave here. Takes 2 stone sword keys. What kind of cave will be in there, I wonder? Spiritcaller Cave. So we fought some Spiritcaller things before. What are they? Spiritcaller snails. Though, I mean, Commander Nile and O'Neill do spirit calling things too, so, hey, it's not unique to just these snails. Now, I have never used Seppuku, so I've put it on to the Flambeard, and we'll see how it goes. That's a crack. Look at that. Tried to get us. Some moss. There's that Spiritcaller snail. See it way over there. We see some spirit wolves as well. There we go. They're down. It's good. What kind of item do we find here? Arteria leaf. Artery. The water looks very interesting here. I mean, for a cave that's called Spiritcaller Cave, the water does look very spirit-ish. Yeah, so far, not a lot has happened. Oh. That is a swordsman. We see another snail back here, though, and a wolf. I did hear a weird noise as well. Yeah, nothing has really happened so far. We've just been walking through cave tunnels. And it looks as though this might be where you would have fallen down if we fell through that little trap cracked spot. Oh, there he is. Iniba, disciple of Okina. So we had summoned Okina for the fight with Radon, actually. He's one of the people there. And you actually see him in the foyer area, the courtyard, before we fight him, along with the rest of the heroes. I can't believe that dodge still had iframes. Now, if you look, his blade has blood on it, because he has performed the forbidden technique of Seppuku. So, or Seppuku? Seppuku? But, yeah, so why does he know it, right? If he's a follower of Okina, did Okina teach it to him? Maybe he learned it to basically keep pace with him to try and better reach him. However, this dude is a spirit. It's not his living flesh and blood disciple. He's getting summoned by a snail. So he may have very likely died in this cave to something. I guess maybe to wolves and Spiritcaller snails. I see the snail over there. Going to be better off going and getting him. They've actually resummoned him, which is a little obnoxious. Did it kill him? Yep. And some of the wolves, but... Oh, white reed armor. Okay, so... Oh, looks like they summoned him again, or they actually summoned him 2 times? Okay, I would like to not get bodied by everybody. There we go. But we got the white reed armor. The other armor we have before is kind of reddish. So let's take a look and see what all it says, and maybe we can compare it to the other. So we don't have a mask. So the Land of Reed's helmet is made from strips of iron fastened together, worn by warriors of the Land of Reeds. It has long been locked in a miserable civil war, during which time it has remained alienated from the cultures of its neighbors. Little wonder that the entire nation has succumbed to blood-soaked madness, or so it is said. So blood-soaked. But it's civil war, so maybe there's sort of a Land of Reeds, and maybe there's the White Reeds. Maybe that's part of a different faction, or something along those lines, you know. Grimy outer mantle is made from withered reeds from the warrior's birthplace. Perhaps its comforts extend to nostalgic thoughts of home. And then we've got the white reed. And I mean, comparing the two, I mean, the white reed does look a little nicer. It also has its his belt has a big knot to it. And I don't know what the significance is of that, or if there is significance. Because when you look at this one, it's more of just a tied sash. It doesn't look to be the big rope. So armor of the white reeds fashioned from banded iron plates worn by Inaba, head disciples of the great swordsman Okina. Oh, worn by the Inaba. Okay, so there were multiple. So, alright, interesting. The Inaba traveled in pursuit of not only the master who abandoned them, but also proper deaths, won honorably through hard-fought combat. To be a white reed is to seek death, fitting for the Inaba who desired nothing more than to die by the sword. Okay, and I believe, I mean, again, some of my stuff is a little old, but white, I think, is traditionally a color for death in Japan. So that makes some sense. Okay, so this is standard armor. This is for a group of followers following the great swordsman Okina. Cool armor, though. I mean, I like it. It's got great style to it. The single pauldron and stuff. Interesting knot in the back, too. I don't think I've ever truly noticed that before as well. Wonder, again, is it just decoration? Is there some actual cultural significance behind that? Don't know. Also, speaking of Okina and everything, we have the Wakizashi. A short sword with a tempering pattern on the blade, unique to the warriors of the Land of Reeds. These swords are considered auxiliary weapons, yet one man is known to wield this weapon in his left hand while using a full-sized katana on his right, a demonic swordsman known only as Okina. So, there it is. That was our first introduction to the idea of Okina. And he is called demonic, so he must have been really strong, or something along those lines, huh? Here we go. It's a Godskin Apostle. Interesting, but see how he's a spirit? Alright. I don't appreciate that start. I knew I was probably going to get hit. Perfect counter. I knew better. I knew to wait until the actual combo was done. Good counters. So the question is, too, I wonder, all right, they're summoning the Inaba disciples of Okina, so did somehow, like, this Godskin die in here, right? Because we get the armor for the white reeds over in that other room because it was found on a body. So did Godskin pass in these caves or nearby adjacent, and the snail is just sort of summoning it and channeling its power briefly because of that? Can they summon anybody who dies near them? Do they do something? I mean, they summoned a Crucible Knight in one dungeon, right? Okay, I need to be better about these. Okay, stay in the ring. One. I was hoping for that counter, or... There we go. Yeah, I was hoping to stagger him is what I was trying to get out. Yep, here comes the roll. Anything else? Come on. Let's just shield crash him, huh? Oh no. What are you gonna do? Oop. Shield crash again. There he goes. Alright. Won the fight. But did we? Because who is summoning them? The Spiritcaller Snail. And there it is. Why do they have the power to do it? I don't know. Is there some tie between snakes and death? Perhaps. We do get the Godskin Swaddling Cloth and the Black Flame Ritual, though. So the Swaddling Cloth is in a talisman. You can see the picture there. It's pretty disturbing looking. I mean, it looks... To me, it always looked like a face there. I could see a mouth, a nose. But, I mean, looking at it again here, I think that's actually maybe an ear right there. And then down lower, those are fingers. And then there's maybe a navel in the bottom left. It's really crazy. Sacred cloth of the Godskin Apostles made from supple skin sewn together. Your successive attacks restore HP. The glow-eyed queen cradles newborn apostles swaddled in this cloth. Soon they will grow to become the death of the gods. So I just had a thought, because to me it could be, oh, there's just a newborn person, swaddle it like a baby. You're going to swaddle a baby, and there it is, and soon they'll grow to become the death of gods. But I wonder, so when they say newborn apostles, because the apostles are the, I guess, the early stages of the Godskin people, right? Godskin apostles, and then you have the Godskin noble, and the Godskin nobles are the most ancient of the apostles. Let's take a look again to double check. So nobles known for their seven-faced apron, they are the most ancient apostles who are said to have assimilated in human physiology, not unlike the Crucible, Erdtree's primordial form. And then the apostles are said to serve destined death, wielders of the god-slain Black Flame. Then they were defeated by Malchus, which sealed them power away. But I wonder, when I say newborn and they've assimilated in human physiology, is it possible that you have somebody who starts worshiping them and then they undergo some rite and then they are reborn? So when they're a newly born apostle, they are swaddled in a cloth, which then becomes their clothes or robes and stuff. You see what I'm kind of getting at? But now for the spell. See if it has anything new to tell us. Because all the other ones, early one we get the Black Flame. Just tells us from the Godskin Apostles that the Black Flame is weighty. It will continue to sap HP. Then you get the Scouring Black Flame, which could once slay gods, but when Malachus defeated them, he sealed away their power, sealed away destined death. The true power of the Black Flame was then lost. And so now, the Black Flame Ritual, Superior Flame Incantation. Summons a circle, we saw it. The glow-eyed queen led the apostles. It is said that she was an Empyrean chosen by the Fingers, which is very interesting. So, yeah. So, we've had some, like, what is an Empyrean? An Empyrean is somebody chosen by the Two Fingers to basically replace Marika. Now, there is also the thought where we have to wonder, you know, Marika being an Empyrean, she would have been selected to replace somebody as well, because Marika is not necessarily replacing Marika, ignoring the Radigan weirdness going on, right? So there was a previous order that the Two Fingers then would have selected, hey, you're the new one, take over. So with the previous order, who really ruled? I mean, it definitely seemed to be giants, because the giants seemed to be the big honchos at the time, and given how they would completely, their very nature is against the Erdtree, they definitely had to take them out. but was the Glowmine Queen. So was she a candidate, and then she was defeated by Malekith, who sealed Destined Death, and Malekith served Marika. So was all of that just to... Was that all because she wanted to become the new god, the new ruler of this new age, and so she had to get rid of her, and that's how it worked and how it went? Maybe. And here is the first Church of Marika. And also, you gotta wonder too, did it have something to do with the, I can't think of the word. Give me a second. With sealing Destined Death, just sealing it away, did that have some purpose in the creation of the Golden Order? I mean, they sealed it away. Why did she want to seal it away? Well, she didn't want it in the world because it's the destined death of everything. Everything should die, right? And so she didn't want that open and about. And so that should be a natural part of the world, which then maybe that's why, Goldmask is wondering about the Golden Order and that there could be a flaw, is because it shouldn't be that way. It should be the totality of everything, all the runes, all the pieces, right? But it isn't. So, yeah. Let's rest here, because sometimes Melina has things to say here. We can also enhance our flask. Hooray for us. But this is the first church. This is the first Church of Marika where somebody made something for her. So it's the oldest. And actually, the statue is even almost sunken down into the ground a bit, right? Well, let's talk to her.
Spoken echoes of Queen Marika linger here as well. Shall I share them with you?
I'm interested.
In Marika's own words, hark, brave warriors. Hark, my lord Godfrey. We commend your deeds. Guidance hath delivered ye through each ordeal to the place ye stand. Put the giants to the sword and confine the flame atop the mount. Let a new epoch begin, an epoch glistening with life. Brandish the Elden ring for the age of the Erdtree.
Okay. So, Godfrey was standing here with all the warriors and said, listen, you've done well. Guidance has delivered you here. Now your next task, defeat the giants. And she was very specific, like saying that defeating the giants usher in a new age, a new epoch. And I mean, unless I'm like wrong here, let's pull up the definition of epoch. A period of time in history or a person's life, typically one marked by notable events or particular characteristics. Geology, a division of time that is subdivision of a period, and it is itself subdivided into ages corresponding to a series in chronostratigraphy. Okay, interesting. So new overall epoch, new age glistening with life. Because if we then even go into another item, and that is the Giant's Talisman, or the Roar Talisman, or Medallion. Bronze Medallion, bronze. Bronze comes up a lot, right? Depicting a roaring giant. In ancient times, the giants were mortal enemies of the Erdtree. Their bellowing roars desolated nature, triggered avalanches, and whipped up storms of flame. Which is so interesting to me that it whipped up flame. Like, how did they make flames with their roars? I mean, dragons breathe fire. Did giants? Right? But they do have the fell flame, so then maybe that's the tie-in with it. But, you know, she's saying, bring out a new age, glistening with life. Where their bellowing roars desolated nature, triggered avalanches, etc. So very destructive. So there's supposed to be a new counterpoint to it. All right, so what does Melina have to say again?
We're almost there. The flame of ruin lies just ahead. I'm glad it was you I traveled with. I must tender my thanks to Torrent, too. Thank you, Torrent. Please continue to lend your aid. Till the end.
Okay. Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, we're close. The Flame of Ruin. Up ahead somewhere. This might be a decent part to stop it. I mean, we can continue to follow this road. There's a map section right up there.